All right, Doc here from North America. Let's see what they're doing here this morning. Let's see. We got both of them up there? I guess we do. Let's move that down. So, whatever the news was in the end result, it's definitely much more firmer than what it was before. That's for sure. You can see the stock indices moving up. Let's check out the currencies were falling against the dollar. Let's see where the Swiss is at the moment. Yep, so they're taking that down now. They're doing the reverse. That makes sense to me. And let's see if we can adjust this so you can see it a little bit better, like so. Oh, that didn't do it. That makes the whole giant thing. Let's try it one more time. There we are. There we go. And there is the Swiss on Chicago Quant. And let's put it up on here on the J4X. Where are you at, J4X? Where are you, Swissy? Down in the dollar area. There it is. Right there. There we go. So you can see that strength. Oh, and let me go over to the chat line too. Let's get that chat line rolling along. Rolling with the homies. Here it is. And there I am. With a dragon advertisement. It's a game, I guess. All right, there it is, and I don't see any chat at all, so this is not too bad. I didn't miss anybody. I hate when I miss, someone that asked a question, and I'm not responding to them, and I feel bad. It's like because that's what I like to do here. We like to answer questions, At least try to answer questions if we can't answer questions. Let's lower that volume. Volume is good there. All right. Very quiet Friday. I guess that's how we're starting off. I guess maybe people are captivated by the numbers or paying attention to that instead. So we'll just see how that rolls along there. Let's see. Bing, 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 bing. All right. And then, so that's where we are with the euro. You can see on Chicago. Let's see, where's the Chicago? Come on again. Let's go over there. So is that high enough? Somehow it doesn't seem high enough. It needs to go up higher so we can see both of them at the same time. Something like that. That's better. So we can see the lines in Chicago Quant, seeing it turn up. See our lines right here. At the same time, you can see the product right there, and you can see the product right there. See, that's good, like that. That's always a good combination. All right, I would imagine. I haven't seen what the numbers look like yet. I turn off. I should turn on another machine and see what I can find. I try to dedicate so many things to, everything into one area. There it is. So I guess in the end result is that, let's see if I can find the numbers. I'm curious about that myself. I like to see the price action more. That's usually my speed. It's like, let's see what the price action is. The price action tells you what's really going on, and then as I always say, like about the stories, it's like, oh, I'd like to know what the story is, but it's not necessary to know exactly the story. So let's see. I'm going to go over, since this was such a big number, I'm just curious altogether now. So we'll start something up, and we should be able to see what's going on here. Now they're moving down. It'll be interesting to see if there's that much weakness in it all in the end result. But anyway, in the end result is the dollar is going down and the pairs trades are moving back up again. Now we had slid into sells. In this case here, you can see with the Swiss against the dollar, you can see that had jumped into a buy, and it still is. This is not moving down fast enough. We can give it a Control R, refresh it. But more than likely it's not. You can see how strong it's holding up in there. But we're also in a weekly sell, so it's awful hard to believe that we're going to last long with this. The only positive thing on the upside I could say about this, and I'm not looking for either side of it, is that the fact that the white line is now piercing the negative time manifold side right there. Right there. So the nonlinear time manifold on the negative side is being pierced. So that might be an indication that it's trying to move up when we're in a daily buy. Remember, sometimes daily buys can lead to weekly buys. But on a Friday, nah, I doubt that they're going to make that type of move. So we'll jump over to the euro, and you can see, oh my God, where is the euro? What happened there? Let's just give that a refresh. There it is. There we go. And you can see that's perking up. Same situation. And let's take a look at it over on J4X, same time. Right. It's right around here. There it is. So it's perking up. And you can see, again, the only interesting thing out of that is the fact that the white line for the last 2 weeks now is below the positive time manifold. So they're starting to show some signs. We've been in a weekly buy on this particular product, just like the other one's been in a weekly sell. We've been in there for a little while. Maybe it's going to try to digest this, a little profit taking. People always get a little confused. They think that selling is something more than what it is. Hey, F33, how you doing? And it's just it's just a way it rolls sometimes. Institutions or people take profits. And then you see the pressure on the product itself. In this case here, the currencies were moving down for the last, let's see, where was it? Yeah, I guess we didn't do that. It went into the daily sell yesterday on the euro. Right there. There we are. And so that's morning to you too. And TGIF, and have a safe weekend. Enjoy it all. And so there it is right there. This is, trying to perk itself up. Now let's take a look at cable and see what that has been doing, because that's been in the daily sell for 3 days. Sure enough, it's trying to find its way back into the buy. Now this one, you can see on the weekly signal right here. I mean, that thing doesn't seem to want to get anywhere near the manifold. Not even close. And you can see we are now flirting with the daily buy after the news. So we got a volatility signal. Let's give it a control R. And we've got a red and a green right there at the moment. So we'll see how that plays itself out. But this thing could actually climb into the daily buy again. And every time this gets into a daily buy and we're in a weekly buy, and I see this time manifold situation, where you see the white line so far away from the histograms and the nonlinear time manifold on the plus side, which is the, remember this is like a mirror image of a plus and a minus. I guess this is the classic, they're selling the stock market down more. Interesting. Yeah, they're starting to put some pressure into this thing. Interesting, very interesting. That could be the beginning signs. I bought the dollar Swiss a little earlier based on your quant. What do you think? Well, let's go back to it and take a look. Right there it is right there. Well, we went into a daily buy yesterday. The white line is trying to move up. The problem is that you're buying a very short-term trade in a weekly sell. That's what the problem is. It's in a weekly sell. So you remember, I think you were on there one day when middle-aged Muscle, who's also a subscriber to Chicago Quant, he follows the weeklies, and I recommend following the weeklies. And when you get a daily buy signal in a weekly sell, you don't get long. That's the only thing. Right, it's no signal really. Now, what it does say is that you cover your short, that type of thing. You can use it for that if you're short, but you're not supposed to really buy it. Now, if you bought it on that signal, once you had a little profit in it, you should take it for only one reason, and that is you're in a weekly sell. That's what the problem is. It's not hard to make that mistake, but once you start to once the system starts to sink in, it has like a few rules. Let me just go through it again. What it is that when the weekly is in a direction and the daily is in the same direction, that's when you go after the trades with the underlying product. when they're in opposites, you do nothing. You stay neutral. Now, if you're an institution in a bank, then you have a whole different situation because you may be long or short these products depending on how you're satisfying your customers, facilitating execution. And or if you're an importer or an exporter, that type of thing. Again, imagine that every month you have to buy, I don't know, let's just throw a magical number out there, $2 million worth of Swiss francs. So every month you're automatically shorted instantly because you need 2 million long. You need to be long 2 million all the time. So you can adjust yourself that way also. So that's really the situation. If you're speculating as a trader, then you're not really supposed to be long. It does show that it did make some money for a little while. if that's a constellation prize, as they would say. So you can see where it settled at 90.35 and traded up to 90.54. So it 35. So it's 90.35 and it goes up to 54. So that's basically 20 pips. So you had a chance to make some money out of it. It still has a green dot up there. That's pretty cool. But the problem is that the weekly. Oh, you like that? That's cool. Yeah. And the dots are an interesting enhancement. They're part of my old math. I mean, that was the original math I was using 40 some odd years ago. And what I've done is I've spruced it up with the gas lines. The gas lines are my old math, but I've added things to them. Some of Euler's formulas and some of Gauss's mathematics. I've added some things into them to enhance it, which gives incredibly more predictability, which is really interesting. Gives you that longer term view, So yeah, my suggestion is when you can get out of it, you get out of it. And you had a chance to take 20 pips out of it, or 18 pips out of it, and that's usually, a lot of times that happens. You get a buy signal, but we're in a weekly, and you go, oh man, this thing looks like it's coming from the lows. Like, look at this. When you're looking, any trader that looks at this, I'm going to draw a big circle for you even. So when you look at something like this, see if we can do that right there. And so when you look at something like that, and you see all this down movement, and it's bottoming, over in here, you see this bottoming movement, and Doc gets a daily buy signal. It's like putting food in front of a dog, that's hungry. Of course you want to buy it. Doc got a buy signal. I want to buy it. I want to get long. But the problem is that, unfortunately, Mama Bear, this is the Mama Bear really. This is the mommy. This is the human being with the dog right here in the weekly. Let's change that color even. So we can do this. It's like we'll do this. We'll make it pink. No, not that. No, not that. Let's do this right there. But this is like the parent or the family that has the dog. Let's see. What am I trying to get here? Here it is, right there. That's what I want to put in there. There you go. But that's screaming at you. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. So it's Friday. I'm being having fun. But it's I'm being accurate. It's fun to describe trading in a very easy way. It's nice to do that. Not make it complicated. Not make it freaky. Try to be accurate and coherent. And so there it is. That's what it really comes down to. Oh, I'm sorry about that. There we are. So that's where it really comes down to. And so that's don't do it right there. That's screaming don't do it on the weekly right there. And so that's what you have to look at and you go, if I buy that thing, I better take like 5 or 10 ticks out of it and run like a rabbit, And that is exactly what it comes down to. So, you'll get comfortable with it, and a lot of times, especially look at the daily here. It's been on a big down slope. It's been in a weekly sell since this area here. You know, let me make this long just for you. Well, that didn't work. Normally that does, doesn't it? Oh, I see what it's trying to do. Okay, like this. Let's do this. And so it's been in this weekly sell. When I go like that, it should extend it now. Why doesn't it extend it? Huh. Anyway, it's been in a weekly sell since it's, since right here. And so you're looking at that and you're thinking, oh, it's daily buy. It's got to be a bottom. It's got to be a bottom. And you'll get used to the idea of, oh, maybe not. It's just a dead cat bounce, Oh. Dead cat bounces, what the theory is of a dead cat bounces. It's because of traders in New York City for many, many decades, like a century. There were tall, high-rise buildings, and sometimes a cat in an apartment would fall out the window. And what happens is that the cat would not obviously, sometimes they survive. I've heard cats falling 10, 15 stories and walking away. It's crazy. But a dead cat bounce is when a cat falls out of a window and dies. And then so when it hits the ground, it's just the bounce. And then it's back down onto the ground again. You see what I'm saying? And that's a dead cat bounce. And so, sometimes the bounces are just dead cat bounces. In this case, it's an up dead cat bounce. In that case there. Yeah, I'm glad. And you know what? F33. It gives opportunity for other people who are just tuning in or watch it, but they're not totally comfortable with it, but they don't want to ask a question. I give them a good visual of the explanation, and I give you a good explanation because you're willing to ask the questions, and so it's really important, to get the facts out there correctly. And, if we don't do that, then it turns into a fiasco. So. Anyway, there we go. If you want to see anything else, don't be afraid to ask. Let's see, do I have that spelled right? Nope, I'm missing an A. I'm trying to load something up to see what the... I was running in a few different directions today. Trader. Okay. And where do we go from here? Do you want to see anything particular? We can jump over to something particular if you'd like. If not, we'll go over to the Turkish lira, I guess, at this point, because we did do the British pound. So, and if you want to see the British pound again, no problem. Oh, that's good. That's good. That's very good. Small losses are the key to the whole game here. All right, let's check out. Where's it at here? Let's check out the Turkish lira. Are they going after my dots still? See how close they've gotten to them? They're getting closer. They're getting closer. Right there. It's just a matter of time. The high today was, what was the high right there? The high is 875. I think we're looking for 893 or something like that. We're looking for 890. That's what it is. We're looking for 890. So we're getting closer and closer to that. And that's all because of this green line I drew there. That's one of my old signals. When you get this type of whipsaw action, when we were in a daily sell and a weekly sell, and this occurred. This box right here, where President Aragon did something politically that flipped out the currency, and so that's a loss, which is very rare for our math, And so what happens is that it usually finds a way to make the money. So then it went into the buy, and we were in a weekly buy throughout this whole weekend here. And then by the end of the week, they sold it down enough, I don't know how, but in the end result, it pushed it back into a weekly sell. But for like 3 days, and we were automatically anticipating that it would go to the dots. And that's why we had these lines for the red line there and the green line there. And that's the extension. It's measuring this distance from the top, from this top to that bottom. And so are we seeing it all? I think we are. Let's scrunch this up a little bit more. Yeah, so what it was taking that low And the end result, it was so volatile that we were actually in a weekly buy for, it was above the weekly zero line for like a couple days. It actually was, and then for some reason, towards the end of the week, it just rolled over. And so we had this projection for it to run up to this area. Then the following week, it did the same thing. We went into a daily buy here, and it ran up to there. We thought, okay, now it's going to take out those dots, and it didn't. Then it went sideways. Then he fired a couple other people. Keeps on removing people, and end result is that you can see it's still drifting its way up to it, but it never takes 2 months to do this. It never. It usually makes it up within 2 or 3 weeks, worst case scenario. Never 2 or 3 months. But this is a whole different era now when it comes to the currencies, and so with the central banks controlling things, it has a really more profound effect on all of this stuff. But anyway, now we're in a weekly buy, and this thing is pushing up and so forth. What's kind of interesting is that the Euro Turkish lira has basically cleaned itself up out of that same situation. Let's see, where was it at? It was right here. In this case, this product was in a weekly sell and never had the problem of oh yeah, it did. It had the problem for the spike up. It did the same thing. And it was in a daily sell from here. And then it went into the buy right here, which was a little bit later out of it all. And now, it's climbing up. The only thing I can say is I still believe it's going to go up in there and hit that 90 area because of the way the math has done it over the last 4 decades. So, and that is that. All right, let's go over to Canadian. Unless someone wants to see something, just fire it out. There's Canadian. You can see Canadian went into a daily buy yesterday right here. Put a line in there for you. And again, traders wide. Ooh, I defaulted that as that, huh? Okay. So it's like that. Default. Oh, it was the extension I didn't click on. That's what it was. Okay, there it is. There we are. I may make it a little bit thicker too, I guess. There we are. And so what it's doing here is it went into daily buy, and you can see on the weekly, the white line is trying to pierce the lower manifold. So we'll see if that brings it up. It's getting closer. This type of action, you can see like when it did it back here in April, we got very close. Got into the buy, lasted for less than 1 week. And when we went to a sell, we were like instantly right back underneath, confirmed it at the end of the week, and it fell down again. So this might be getting ready to make that type of move. I kind of have a hard time believing that the run on the downside is over with when it comes to Canadian. One thing is very clear as I have a sip of my coffee. One thing is very clear. It is flatlining from the sell in May and go away type of attitude. This could actually create like a head and shoulders, reverse head and shoulders, and then make another new low, and then go sideways for a while, and then towards the end of the summer it might turn up. That would not surprise me any. That's just a speculation. My math is not telling me that. It's just from past history of experience. Just reading the manifolds, just the way they're acting now, how that is playing itself out. Like right there, it couldn't get into the cell there, couldn't get in the cell there, so it gets into the cell right there, and literally the next day, it's back into the buy again. So it goes into the buy here, and this thing is just like hugging, playing with it each day, but not being able to break out of it. Puts a cell, falls down in here. That time out of the histogram and white line break down here, and then it comes right back again, and then finally it throws itself into a cell because it's just tightening up. And which is really odd is that obviously the time manifold, which is usually very clear about tightening up, is not tightening up, but on the weekly basis. But on the daily, you can see how tight it is. Right there, it's extreme. Just as it got tight here, went sideways, and then finally made a move like that. So, made a move like that. You can see that as it started to re-widen. And so, as long as this is staying tight, when you start to see this thing start to lift up like that, where it gets to the point where it gets so tight and then starts to lift, you're at the beginning of something. And then look at this, you get these 2 big bars two days in a row of action, and then it begins. You know, goes into the sell. We're in the weekly sell, smack-a-doodle city. You know. So. All right. Let's see. Where do we go from here? We go from Canadian. What we usually do is we look at the energy complex, but we've also been looking at the Euro Canadian pairs trade also. Let's just take a quick look at that too. Euro, right there. And so usually when this is going down, oil is going up in value. So let's take a look at that. Where are we at? Let's take a peek. Crude oil, that's right there. So there's copper. And there is crude oil right there. You can see it's at the highs of the day. We'll give it a refresh. But it is hanging around the highs of the day. You can see this was really weird, is these dots kept us out of the sell. Kept on getting a volatility signal. I even wrote it on the chart. Red, green dot kept system long on the day chart. And you can see there it did it. You know, whereas all this math was turning down, these dots were telling us, don't trust it, don't trust it. And we just needed it to confirm with just a red dot, not a green and red dot. And then it did it again there, and then it did it again there, 3 days in a row. That's kind of scary when you get volatility action like that. You know, you start to wonder what is going to explode. And then now you see the thing is, now the math is turning that way. You know, it's turning up through here today, but it's already in the buy since back here. It just wouldn't allow it to go into the sell. Now we have, you know, went into the sell there and then right back into the buy. It's flirting with the manifold on a weekly basis, but this thing could literally bounce off of that like it did off the 0 line and the 1. Just had just slipped underneath the 0 by like a hair, and now it's turning back up again. So that could be the real answer to what we're seeing in the oil market and the energies. They may want to go higher. You know, there might be more desperation, and that literally may be the answer to it all. Yeah, that's something, you know. All right, from there we'll take a look at natural gas, because we usually look at the energies, and we'll look at gold, because I think if it wasn't FR33, it was someone else that mentioned it about the breakup, the disconnect between the metals and Canadian. So let's look at natural gas right there. And natural gas is moving down out of that whole move, which is interesting. And we've been in the sell since here. But again, as we said at the beginning of this webinar about you can't take the short because of why, traders? Right. We're in a weekly buy. So, and it's been in a weekly buy for, I don't know, a couple of weeks. Yeah, so all the way back to here. Let's scrunch that up so you can see the action. So you've been in a weekly buy from here. So you really can't take a short. All you can do is take a profit out of those things. Like when it happened here after being long there, yeah, being long there. You know, you could take the profit out of that, but you can't. In this case here, you know, you're dying to go short. You just, my God, the thing's been in a buy. You know, it's spiked up to the 320s and not even at the summer yet. And you gotta want to, you know, go short it. But if you buy binaries or puts, put spreads, you get away with that. But who knows? You don't know if there's a rampage going on, and the math is trying to tell you don't, you know, because the weekly's telling you that. But no, it does. It makes a nice drop, and you know, and the end result is that then it comes back into the buy. I guess right there. Just see, yeah, plot 1 is 0.0077. So yeah, it goes back into the buy there, and you catch that again for another winner chicken dinner. Then it does that correction thing again, and then where are we at here? We're still in that correction state, you know, and you missed this nice pop, but you know, sometimes you're just in neutral. That's all. That's the way life goes. The idea is to make money, not to make trades. So that's where we are there. Oh, here we go. NZD dollar is in a sell, but seems to make a nice little pullback now. Let's check it out. Let's see what it is. What it is what it is. Right there, NZD. There's dollar NZD, right? NZD dollar. Yeah, now that has been in a weekly buy since here, and a daily buy, and then it went into a little sell here, and then it went back into a buy again, and it was another winner chicken dinner there. So two nice wins. Then it goes into the sell right here again, but again you're not able to take those sells because you're in that weekly buy, and then you go back into a buy, and the third trade is a winner chicken dinner. And then where are we at now? Oh, okay, we've gone into the sell, and it's like, what's this? This is like the 5th day in a sell, and now you can see, we've been underneath here, so it's starting to warn us that there's some correcting going on. Now, if we can get a close, I doubt, just due to the fact that it's bounced back up again. Let's give it a refresh. I doubt that it'll go into a weekly sell, by the end of the day. So we'll see how Monday brings it. And if it's into a weekly sell and we're still in a daily sell, you can take that short. You would like to do it off of strength, though. You really want the thing to turn up a little bit and then go into another daily sell, and then you like to jump on it. But that's the way it rolls either way. Let's see. I guess you guys won't get excited over 30 pips. Hell, I get excited over 5 pips. Are you kidding me? I like, in and out. Boom. Boom. In and out. Let's see what AUD is doing. Let's see. AUD. Right there. Went into the weekly sell there. It's already flirting with a weekly buy, isn't it? Look at that. No, it's just on the edge by the hair of its chinny chin. Look at that. Now, why aren't we seeing the numbers? None of the numbers are on the right side here. We'll have to turn them on. Let's see, was it the format there? And what are we trying to find? Let's see if we do the histogram. Turn that on, see what happens. That doesn't happen either. You know what we'll do? Let's do this. Let's grab a hold of another window that seems to be functional. There's one right there. We can do that. Copy that and paste. And let's put the AUD in there. See what that looks like with the numbers itself. I'm not sure why the other one's not doing it. I'll work on the weekend over it. Let's see, but AUD. There it is, dollar. And then do the same thing again. AUD, dollar for the weekly. Now that's interesting. Yeah. Okay. So let me just go back to the other AUD I follow for the webinar. Okay. Yeah. So it goes into the sell. All right. Now let's go all the way down to the bottom and see what this looks like. There it is, right there. And so in this case here, I guess we can move these things over and fix them. That's what it comes down to. So that's wow, what a spike action that is. And then the buy was right there. That would excite me. I'll take the profit. When you're short-term trading, it's fine. That's not a sell because it's got a green dot. It's the next, not the next day. It's the next day after that. That's the one that gives us the sell, and then it breaks down hard the next day there. So it's the winner chicken dinner. And in this case here, it's in. Oh no, it's a. Where's it at there? It's in the plus side right now. So it's kind of like a neutral position. You don't want to really take the short at this point. So because the weekly is pushing itself up in and trying to get it back into a buy again. And then let's see what else. I guess we reverse these out. So take this one and move that over. Yeah, that's what it is right there. And that goes like right there. And that gave you but that's in a buy, so you can't take that short. But you can take this buy right there. Yeah. And it pays off. And it goes back into that short. Let's move that one over here. And then what do we got here? So we move that there. Take that one, move that over to there. Nope, right there. That's the short right there. And it's doing that same thing today. And then maybe tomorrow or Monday they push it down, but again, you don't really want to be involved in it at the moment. And then let's move that one all the way over to there. And then we can take this one and move it. Or was it short? There was the, no, that's not the short. That's not the short. That's not the short. So it didn't even give you a short. It was just that one long. So that long is not even real. That's the long right there. So you go into a long here, and all this is noise because it can't get into a cell, and then it takes off more. But you can't be short because, now where's that? What is that? That's a minus, so it's a short there. Let's move this over. That short started here. So the short started there. The sell started right here. So it puts you in a sell here, and you caught that whole winner chicken dinner game right there. So anyway, that's what we're seeing here, is that this might just back off again tomorrow on Monday. But if this thing closes in a week, it's above the weekly buy number at the moment. So it's really sticking you in all kinds of neutral things there. This has been, I think I talked to you about this yesterday. This does look like a head and shoulders pattern right there. You know, there's the head, there's the shoulder, like as if it wants to break down. Maybe what they do is they push this down into the sell by the end of the day a little bit more. Doesn't close in a weekly buy. And then what happens is that we're in a daily sell here. Maybe tomorrow, you know, the Monday number breaks down. We'll see. If this closes in a weekly sell, I would think of it as a very good sell today. And it's not going to, look how high it is up there. So it's going to open on Monday, and more than likely it'll close on Monday in a daily sell, possibly, just like the way it did back in here, where we saw the same type of action. So I hope that gives you some clarity there. That is the action of it all. Now, what do we see going on here? There's some stock markets are acting very strong from the news. Now I'm confused altogether what's going on there. How can that be up? Something's wrong here. So, oh, that's a weekly, that's why. I see, okay. I'm looking at something else on another screen and I'm thinking, now how can that be up when that's down? Okay, that's the answer to that. Okay. All right, now, let's see what we got here. Let's take a look at, no problem at all, Alan. No problem at all. That's why we're here. It's fun. You don't see, and that's another thing. Let me go through this little concept that Doc has been talking about for years here now. In everything everybody reads is not necessarily accurate for the era that we're in, you know, the type of marketplace that we're in nowadays. Since 2008, in particular, with quantitative easing, the nature of what everybody wrote in 2006 and 5 and 1995 and 1955 and 1972 and, you know, Liar's Poker and all these other kiss and tell books about how to trade is a big difference. A lot of those people who wrote books were traders on a floor, or they were on a trading desk, okay? And they were reactive traders. So they had to react. Orders came to them, and they had to react to sell the offer or buy the bid, that type of thing, okay? And they wrote about it, and they talk about how much money they made doing it. Well, those days are all gone, and they're not happening again right now. And not until markets are totally wide open again. And there's exchange floors. And they could have worked on trading desks, which most of these banks don't even have trading desks anymore. So customers were coming to them, and they had to react to the order, okay? They weren't always calling customers and trying to get them to react. They were reacting. Customers were contacting them and saying, hey, I need to buy X amount of British pounds. We're a company, and we're buying something in England, and we need to have British pounds to pay for it. It was a reactive action. Same thing on the trading floor, you know, or stocks, you know, or blocks of stock. You know, someone said, I need to buy X amount of stock for the fund, and we don't want the floor to see it so quickly. Will you work the order for the next 5 days? You know, they were reactive, okay? Now we all live in a world where we are proactive. We have to decide when to buy and sell. No one's knocking on our door and or calling us and saying, I want to buy or sell something. It's the other way around. We are proactive now. And so, oh, what's this? Same goes for indicators, old as the mountains. Well, some of the indicators actually, which is really strange, I've never seen technical analysis work so good. Technical analysis works better now than it's ever worked before. And that's probably because everybody has to be proactive. Okay? So in other words, before 2008 and before the kind of like the electronicization of the marketplace in the 2000s, you know, in the 1990s and all like that, before that time period, you were competing as a regular, you know, retail customer trying to day trade or trade positions. You were competing with reactive traders. So they weren't exactly using technical analysis as much. They were just reacting. You know, people were trying to sell it to them. Other people simultaneously were trying to buy it from them. They were trying to make a difference between the bid and the offer. That's all they were doing. You know, making gobs of money that way, okay? But now we're in a new era. And I talk about this for ever since I've been doing Dukascopy. We're reactive traders no more. We are now proactive traders for probably the rest of our lives. And so, because there's not going to be other exchanges, you're not going to be working bank desks anymore. You know, it's not that way anymore. Or institutional desks, those days are pretty much gone. So we're all proactive. So what happens is all proactive people are trying to find a way to decide when to buy and sell, which means they're all following a lot of the same indicators, as you say, you know, as old as the mountains. They're following indicators, and because they're following those indicators, they are more predictive than they've ever been before. When I started in business, you know, when I went down to the floor in the 79 and applied for a job, or 78, 79, I applied for the job, you know, and was trading options for, and trying to trade this stuff off floor for a year and a half since they legalized it back then. You know, those days were they never looked at technical analysis. They used to do these, like, you know, they used to do these polls to money managers and, you know, and specialists and so forth. And specialists were like the most, I guess, that followed technical analysis. But it was only like 10 or 15% of money managing people, barely that, followed technical analysis. Everybody followed fundamentals. And they would do these polls, you know, Morningstar and all these other companies would do polls every year or every other year and ask managers and so forth, you know, do you use technical analysis or use fundamentals? And like 85, 90% of them always used to say, we use fundamentals. Now, we're in a whole different era, whole different time frame. New York Stock Exchange now is a bowling alley, basically. That's what a lot of the old members, we call it a bowling alley, because you could walk on the floor and throw a bowling ball on it and not hit anybody. There's nobody there. And they're all behind the post if they're anywhere. And so in the specialist post, they're literally in where the clerks used to be, and the specialists should be out in front. Now they're all just hanging out back post, sitting in chairs and looking at technical analysis like you and I are. So, you know, there's a whole different nature going on. Technical analysis is more accurate than it's ever been before, and the reactive action is not there anymore. So that's an important factor. And so if you you get to feel, if you start to feel comfortable with that concept, you start to realize that quantitative trading and algorithms and so forth are really the way to go at this point. You use technical analysis, basically, is the way to go. That's what it's all about. So, all right, where did we leave off? I think we're looking at Aussie dollar. Okay, I hope I answered that one. So now, let's see, what do we do here? I'm going to What am I going to do? I'm going to jump over to, where do we, oh, we usually go to the ruble. That's what it is. We jump over to the ruble. And then at the same time, we'll start to move towards the metals complex from here. You see the ruble moving down back into the sell for the last couple of days. And we're still in that weekly sell, so that little bounce that we thought would look like something like this was, and like this one, it was. And it's done the same thing here. Matter of fact, I guess a red dot appeared and kind of removed any potential for it to be even a daily buy. So, sometimes that happens. Where at first it looks like it's going to be just a daily buy in a weekly sell, and then it removes that even. So it's basically been in a sell since back here on May 12th, May 13th there. So, and it's been in a weekly sell since April, the last week of April. So that's where we are there. Now, let's see, what do we got here? Let's jump over to the yen. The yen popped up. What did it do? It jumped into the buy yesterday right there. And it's flirting with the downside, but still in that weekly buy. Let's give that a refresh too. We'll see how long that lasts. They may just zip it down and zip it up, and that's might be the action to the yen. And then we jump over to the Mexican peso from here. Peso, last time we looked at it, was starting to show some strength on the upside. Yeah, it still is. Okay, so we've been in the daily buy here, and it didn't make it. See, it didn't make it to the zero line. Even it's a 0.0014. It's still a plus, and it was a volatility signal. And sure enough, we got some bigger action there. And so we're in a weekly buy, and now we are flirting these last couple days for the weekly sell again. And you can see this thing is trying to head down. So we'll see how they flip this a little bit. Looks like that is definitely going to close in a weekly sell. Look at it. It's minus 0.05, and plot 4 is 0.9. And you can see plot 6 is the 5 super part of it, and we're not even running that, but that's still plus. So it's trying to tell us that if we were using that, because of the beta, we don't use it on this one. That's like the volatility in a sense. Its action relative to the other currencies. But we'll see how that plays out. But right now it looks like it's trying to get back into a sell, and maybe by Monday, this thing, or today, they'll push it down more. See how that trades. Doc, I read you're introducing live signals for quant. Elaborate. You like reading it, or you want to read it? Which one are you reading? Are you reading like my LinkedIn or my on the website? Is that what you're doing? You're reading that? You can ask any question you want about it. You're welcome to do that. No problem at all. Let's see, where do we go from here, Max? Oh, we go take a look at the South African Rand. That's what it is. And we'll go into the metals complex from there. And you can see the pressures on this on the downside. So we're assuming that metal and silver is trying to lift up here today. And it's been in a weekly sell, as you can see here, for since the beginning of April. So it's been slowly drifting down, doing some positive stuff on the website. Cool. Yeah, you can ask any question. It's all on my little noggin here, since I'm the one that wrote it. Let's see. Where am I at? Oh yes. Now we want to go look at the metals complex. So let's take a look at Mr. and Mrs. Gold. Gold is lifting back up again. It went into the sell there yesterday. Now it looks like it's not having any problem whatsoever of trying to get back into the buy. Oh yeah, look at that. And when I refreshed it, the red dot is even gone. So now we're really, flirting with a daily buy there, which is really cool. The weekly is, if it was through the period, if it had period, let's take a look at what I sent out this morning, before the news. Let's see if we can find it here. Minimize. There. There. There it is. Yeah, so this morning, you can see here, we can probably make it bigger. You can see here, the daily was underneath. Let's see if we can move that for you. The daily, the bar was minus, and the weekly was flirting right there. You can see that was flirting with, let's see if we do this. And how do we get down? Oh. We were flirting with the weekly right there. That was this morning. And now, since the news, it's jumping up. Everything's jumping up from it. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Here, I'll help you. Oh, you're on the site. You don't need. Yeah, just call in. Talk to Robin. Yeah, definitely. Talk to Robin. Yeah, it's fun stuff. The math is we try to, we go with the KISS theory here. KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. The KISS theory. So in other words, the idea is to make the charts and the sophisticated mathematics as simple to read as possible. And so, we put lines in there. I mean, I don't really have to put the line in here. I mean, you can see, let's exemplify it. I mean, you can, by looking at the chart, you can see that the green line is below the 0 line, and you can see that the histogram is below the 0 line. So what is that? It closed there, so it's obviously in a cell. At the same time, you can see the histogram is above the 0 line right here, and the green line is above even the time manifold, not only the 0 line. So it's telling you it's in a weekly buy. And when the two are not coordinated together, you don't. So in other words, you wouldn't have taken that short because it's in a weekly buy. Now, if this closes here, and if you're really guns blazing and you're a young Turk, as they would say, I mean, you could have gotten long as it bounced back up through the line, that type of thing. And so that's pretty much what it comes down to. It's a sophisticated mathematics that I created back in the 70s to deal with the Higgs boson when I was in physics. And when I got onto the trading floor, I started using anything and everything mathematically I could. And I found out that my math predicted the movement of real objects, which shouldn't have, when you really think about like the uncertainty principle, Heisenberg's or Schrodinger's, warning of the uncertainty principle, quantum mechanics and so forth, it kind of, my math kind of is the next evolution of that stuff. And I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I have made hundreds of millions of dollars from it. So it's kind of like, actually, my best option trade was a little better than 66 million on a risk of 30,000. So I mean, not every day do you walk into the internet bubble in 2000, but the math is good, and it has made hundreds of millions of dollars. So it's cool, and so we've advanced it over the years, especially the last 10 years. We've advanced it to this level here with a much more sophisticated view of it besides just dots. At one time, it was just the dots. That's all there was the dots. We went into a green dot here, and you would be long until you got a red dot. That was pretty much it. We had weekly and daily signals, but they were nowhere near as sophisticated as this. Now we've smoothed it out. We've advanced the advanced. So, it's. I think I did strings 2014. And that really pushed me. I'd thought about it for years. I wanted to do this. But after doing Strings 2014 in Princeton with the physicists of the world, you ever see that famous picture where you have Albert Einstein and you have Max Planck and you have Madame Curie, and they're in Belgium, and it's 1927 and they have all these great minds looking at physics in all kinds of different ways. Well, they do that every year in atomic physics. And they call it string theory now. Since the 70s, they've been doing late 70s, early 80s. They've been doing string theory, and so I started doing string theory with the great minds, I guess you could say, as a neophyte, just kind of like hiding, not talking about my math. And I go there and I'm listening to what they're doing, and I'm using my math, so I get a different opinion. But anyway, the end result is that it's been fun, and so we've turned this into like. It's a combination of like a string theory. I'm using Gauss and Euler and Riemann, and I'm using manifolds, but I'm using my math on those things. Not necessarily Klein or something like that. You know, I'm doing my own type of math on it. So I have a whole different insight. And since I have like the Jimmy Simons situation, where Jimmy Simons has the Renaissance Fund, and he's a math person, and he does a lot of great math, but he does also finance. He's probably the best hedge fund in the world. I think they're getting really sloppy now too, now that they don't have customers really. But that's the answer to it all. That's how we got more sophisticated going into. I'd been wanting to do it for decades, but it wasn't until I did strings 2014 that I advanced my math in the sense of making it much more articulate and treating it as like a whole. So it was nice. I mean, I saw what they were doing and with string theory, and I thought, you know, why don't I just put my math inside that and we'll just put it here. So what we're doing is we're measuring real objects in a friction world every day. We're looking, I can do it with, you know, expanding galaxies, I can do it with stocks or bonds, I can do it with anything physical. Isotopes, atomic isotopes, I can do it with everything physical. So it's obviously much more insightful than, if anybody out there has an advanced degree in mathematics, they're saying something like, you're saying what? You brought it into the real world? Yeah, we've brought it into the real world, and our proof is the millions, the hundreds of millions. Anyway, that is Doc. We're going to leave it at that, I guess. You know, I went on a tangent. Yeah, or email. Alan, you can email him too. You don't have to call him. You can email him. You can do both. Robin's very articulate. We've known each other for 5 decades, since the Chicago Mercantile. We traded on the same trading floor together. And we come up with these once in a while, some type of retail thing. And now we have Chicago Quant. It's fun. Anyway, traders, everybody have a safe and a smart weekend. And we will catch you guys on Monday, the flip side. It'll be TGIM. Thank goodness it's Monday. So this is Doc from North America saying arrivederci. And happy trails to you. Until we meet again, which will be Monday. Happy trails to you, to all our trading friends. Doc from North America saying aloha.